Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about the boost, and this video is not meant to be a full analysis of the boost, every angle, level-headed. I would recommend, if you're interested in that, check out the video linked below. It is a video by Mad Season. It is an excellent video. It articulates pretty much everything I'd want to say in terms of the logical point of view of the argument. What this instead is going to be the non-level-headed, the rant side of the boost issue, why I am so frustrated, why I care so much about this topic, and why I am really frustrated by a lot of the members of the classic community. Very discouraged by, I guess, some of the mindset and some of the things being said on Reddit, for example, and just go into my thoughts on the boost. So let's get right into it, right? So right from the start, boosts are pay to win, and I think the discussion should end there. I'm actually surprised about the number of people that are okay with pay-to-win functions being added to World of Warcraft, specifically World of Warcraft Classic, and I'm just stunned that we even got this far. But you know, we'll take it one step at a time. So boosts are pay-to-win, right? And there seems to be this confusion as to what pay-to-win means, because I've seen a lot of comments on Reddit, a lot of people saying stuff like, "Oh, you know, a level 58 boost, how is that pay to win? Like, you don't win the game if you have a level 58 character, so how is that pay to win?" Right? So obviously what pay to win means is it means you're paying to gain an advantage, and that advantage leads to you winning where you otherwise wouldn't have, right? But the main part of that that's problematic is the pay to gain the advantage, right? It doesn't really matter if you pay to gain a massive advantage and then lose if you still have a massive unfair advantage that you paid for, right? The whole point is pay to gain advantage is pay to win, and it's not good. So throughout the video, when I say pay to win, I really mean pay to gain an advantage, and I'll try and use that language specifically. But the point is, there should not be aspects, especially in an MMO, especially in a classic reboot of an old school MMO, where RPG elements matter, the economy matters, farming gold matters. Like, there should not be any pay to win elements in this game. In my opinion. And it is blatantly pay to win to boost a character for a few reasons. So number one, let's just talk about the time. Because some people do not think that having a level 58 character would be considered pay to win. But let's look, time is money, right? Look at how much time it'll save you. So it depends on, you know, who you ask, but in my experience, leveling 1 to 60 takes about 7-8 days played in Classic. If you're leveling like decently, efficiently, but kind of just playing relatively normally, not boosting. So if you were to, for example, buy a boost, it would be getting you 7 to 8 days played worth of time. But let's say, okay, but TBC is coming, right? And that's going to speed up the leveling process. In 1 to 60, and I know it's a 58 boost, so make small adjustments to the two levels. But 1 to 60 in TBC is probably going to be closer to like 4 days played. And because you're getting mount sooner at level 30, you're getting more quest hubs, more XP, and a lot of buffed items and buff dungeon quest XP, I believe, as well. So there's a lot of factors that increase the pace to leveling, and it significantly reduces the amount of time it takes to level 1 to 60. Now, if we still take that time of 4 days played, that's about 100 hours slash played. It's 96 hours. 100 hours of slash played that's a lot of time. For some people, that's weeks. For some people, that's a month of playtime, right? And I mean, if you were to put it into money, so for the people that do not think it's pay to win to get a character boosted to 58, they don't think it's impactful, they don't think it matters, it saves you 100 hours of playtime on the low end, right? And if you were to have gold farmed in that time, let's say you make 200 gold an hour in TBC. Some people make that amount in Classic right now. Obviously, the amount of gold you're going to make is going to go up in TBC. So I think 200 is actually a nice, safe, low number. But pick whatever number you want to fill in this example. If you are farming for 100 hours, the time you would have saved by boosting at 200 gold an hour, that amounts to 20,000 gold. So I want you guys to be very, understand that time is money. And if you were to put a money amount to the amount of time saved, 20,000 gold, right, is how much money you could have made if you farmed instead of boosting, right? Or instead of leveling the character, if you elected to boost. Even if you're not going to gold farm with the time you save from boosting, the point still remains that time is incredibly valuable, and it is a massive, massive advantage. And I mean, it's an advantage that you're going to have over people that do not have as many accounts as you, because you're able to boost more characters. It's an advantage you have over people who don't have as much money, who cannot afford the boost. And it's an advantage over people that, don't want to boost, right? And so I think it is blatantly pay to win in that aspect alone. But we can go even further, right? You can even more directly associate it with gold in that players... There's been multiple videos on this. It's covered in the Mad Season video. I think Stay Safe has a video too. You can make gold by boosting a character, leveling to 60, leveling up the professions, and then selling transmutes and cooldowns for tailoring to make the valuable cloth that is needed to make a lot of the expensive tailoring recipes. And so, with the boost, you are giving an option to essentially directly pay to gain a financial, like in-game gold. That to me is, again, blatantly pay to win. We'll see. Some of the early, some of the videos pointed to it being extremely profitable, and that it would potentially be better than even buying gold from gold sellers to do this strategy to, create another account, boost a character, and use it to make gold. We'll see when it actually comes out how much gold you're actually able to make and whether or not it's the most efficient route. But that doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, it is offering an avenue into World of Warcraft for you to pay real life money to gain in-game money, and that is pay to win. And I think that is really bad for the game. Now, I could go into a bunch of details on why pay to win is specifically not good in TBC, because of all the professions, because of all the BOEs from world bosses, all the, I think people that are going to agree that pay to win is bad are probably already convinced, and the people that think that pay to win is okay, it doesn't matter anyway, right? So let's just say, for me at this point, the boost discussion should be over. There shouldn't be pay to win in the game. It should be quite simple. A feature like the boost should not be added to the game because it's pay to win. End of story, in my opinion. But that's not where it ends for a lot of people. So we continue on, right? Let's talk about who it is for, right? The new player. It's supposed to be for a new player. Now, I will tell you that on the TBC beta, I created a level 58 druid, the preset druid with the gear. And as someone who has played druid in multiple expansions, never really mained a druid, but is, I'd say, familiar with a lot of the spells, a lot of what's going on, I did not know how to set up my character, right? I was having trouble figuring out where to put my spells on my bars, and what spells should be on the main bar that changes as you shift, and what spells I should be putting on my additional bars. I had full keybinds set up. I was comfortable with everything. I'm used to having keys that I put abilities on. And I still was like, wow, I'm kind of overwhelmed with going from, nothing to a full 58 with a bunch of spells that need to be casted in different forms, right? In different spellbook trees. I just do not understand how a player that is new to World of Warcraft as a whole is possibly not going to get massively overwhelmed, in my opinion. I don't see any new player being able to pick up Shaman, being able to pick up Druid, Warrior, due to all the stances. Even something like Hunter, with all the pet stuff. Warlock has a million abilities too. Like, half the classes in the game, it feels like you cannot even... Like, how is a new player supposed to figure out what is going on if they are new to World of Warcraft as a whole? Nevertheless, talents, they have a full talent tree that they have no understanding what's going on. And for this reason, I just do not see the boost being something that is for new players that are new to World of Warcraft. It's just at level 1, you start learning, you slowly introduce you to spells, you understand how aggro works, you start understanding, the basics of your kit. So for example, as a paladin, you figure out, okay, I gotta put this seal on myself, then I use judgment, and then I gotta reapply the seal, right? That's something that a 58 character is just not gonna get that interaction. They're not gonna understand that. There's too many abilities. They're not slowly getting introduced to that. So in my opinion, the level 58 boost is horrible for brand new players to World of Warcraft as a whole. So what would be the solution? Are we gonna add a tutorial like there is for retail when you boost a character? Is there going to be a training level where you go through and they slowly introduce you to all your abilities and they try and catch you up to speed with what's going on? Because again, in retail, there's less abilities, things are simpler. There's talent trees are not massive trees. They're just a few different ability choices. And also, that's just not in the spirit of Classic. In Classic, you learn the game through playing, and you learn the game through the community, right? There's not a bunch of tutorial levels that are, teaching you how to play. And if there are, like the starting zones are essentially the tutorial levels, and you're supposed to subtly like pick up on things as they introduce them to you. So I want to dispel the notion that this boost is for a new player. It is not for someone new to World of Warcraft. So then you say, okay, well, of course it's not for someone new to World of Warcraft. Obviously, obviously it's for someone who is new to Classic but has played Warcraft before, right? Someone who hasn't played Classic but is looking to play Classic TBC. They don't have a character, and they don't want to feel like they're behind, I guess, or they don't want to do the old content, or they didn't have interest in Classic but they have interest in TBC. To that, I'm honestly very confused who the people are that really want to play Classic TBC, haven't had a character in Classic, yet simultaneously feel that the Classic content is old and they don't want to play it, even though like they haven't played it because they don't have a Classic character. Even if you have a character that is someone that like halfway leveled up a Classic character, right? There's still some of the zones they didn't complete, and they could continue playing that character if they really didn't want to start from scratch. I'm not understanding who these returning Classic players are that don't want to level, even though that's the way it originally was in TBC, do want to play the expansion, and we're assuming they're going to, stay with the game and they're valuable members to, cater to, because we're making massive changes to the game to accommodate them. Yet they're not willing to level, but they haven't leveled, so it's new content, so they shouldn't be that opposed to leveling because it's not even old content to them because they haven't leveled a character through Classic. Like I don't understand why we're catering to this specific case of player that seemingly isn't passionate enough about the game to want to level, yet they really want to play the game, despite the fact that the vast majority of people love their first leveling experience. Just go ask people that you know. I'm sure you'll find a lot of people that find leveling boring after multiple characters. They find leveling to be, tedious since they've already done it. But I find that there is few players that play Classic. I guess maybe a lot of the people quit that didn't enjoy the leveling experience, but I find it very, very rarely do I meet someone that says, yeah, I hated the original leveling experience in original vanilla, or I hated my first 60 in Classic. I wish I never did it, and I wish I could have boosted the whole way. And in fact, it's the opposite. And most people had some of the most fun in phase 1, leveling their first character, gearing it up. And I just don't understand why everyone is acting like a new player would be like scarred forever, experience ruined if they were to go through the Classic zones when TBC comes out, right? When it comes to catching up, again, If you want everyone to be on a level playing field, they could do fresh. Even if you, just from the point of feeling like you can't play with your friends from the start. I mean, there's pre-patch, right? Pre-patch gives you time to level. Pre-patch gives people a chance to catch up. But again, if there's someone that really wants to play with their friends, is not willing to play the game without their friends aren't willing to level a character with them in pre-patch, and they really care about the game, they're passionate about the game, they're going to play the game, but they don't want to level. Like, to me, it's just a very narrow situation where we have a returning player that hasn't played Classic, that doesn't have a character, that needs a boost, that's not going to play if they don't get the boost, right? And again, keep in mind, leveling in TBC is, in the Classic zones, is slower. So it doesn't make sense to me that people felt like, oh, okay, Classic, Classic, it didn't make sense to have a boost. Because in Classic, there was only one expansion out, like there was no expansion, and so all of the content was new. But in TBC, the old Classic world is it's old content, and people don't want to slog through that. They want to start with the new content, right? So I already had tackled the new approach of it. But let's talk about the time spent, because in Classic, it took like 7 to 8 days played for the average character, just kind of going down a normal path, leveling pretty efficiently, not stopping to do a bunch of stuff, just trying to level pretty efficiently. It would take 7 to 8 days played to level a Classic character. And in TBC, it's going to take about 4 days played to hit 1 to 60, about 4 days played to hit 60 to 70. So the question is, if it was okay in Classic to not have a boost because, we deemed that the 7 to 8 days played was worthwhile for people to go through and it wasn't too much time to alienate them, why now in TBC is that amount of playtime not okay? It does not make sense to me that it would be a massive issue in, TBC that people have to go through the 1 to 60 journey, yet this wasn't something that we should have had in Classic. So once again, I do not think that the boost, who is the boost for? Because it seems like most people that are in favor of the boost just want a 58 and they don't want to level it. And I mean, you go around and you ask everyone, hey, do you want a free 58? They're going to say yes. And so for the people that can afford it, sure, they're going to want a 58. Why not? If you can afford it, if that's how you want to spend your money, hey, free 58. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good for the game. Again, because it's pay to win. And so I just wanted to dispel the notion that it is good for new players. It is not good for new players. It is not something that is going to bring massive amounts of players into the game that otherwise wouldn't have played it. And even if it does, I mean, you really don't think they're going to quit when, you think a new player is just going to adapt perfectly fine to all of these abilities? Anyway, it's I don't understand it. I don't get it. Now it's time to talk about the people that go on Reddit and they talk about, I don't understand why people care so much. Or they say the statements like, I'm going to play the game no matter what. I don't really care. I just don't see what all the uproar is about. Why do people care so much? The reason why people care is because some people have been waiting for this game to come out for years. For some people, myself included, this is their favorite version of the game. This is some of their fondest childhood memories are playing the game. In my case, I went back. I played the game on a private server a few years back. I still really enjoyed the game. It is my favorite expansion for my favorite game. It is, the best game in my opinion. Not just WoW, not just, childhood nostalgia. No, in my opinion, the Burning Crusade is the best gaming experience I've ever had in any game. And it's my favorite expansion of my favorite game. So I care a lot about the game. I want the game to be good. You should care about the game. To me, it is weird to not care about stuff like boost being added to the game. It is weird to not be, having an emotional, reaction to these kind of changes going into the game, when essentially, the way I see it, you're taking a perfect game, a perfect storm, a game that has never been recreated. Despite all the years of the WoW devs trying to recreate some of the greatness that was achieved in Burning Crusade. I don't think it was ever achieved. I don't think any other MMO has been able to come close. Like, we're talking about, in my opinion, perfection in a video game. And so, yes, I am annoyed when I see massive changes to the game. Yes, I'm not just annoyed. I'm mad. I'm pissed. I'm upset when I see that they're taking the perfect game, the perfect formula. Again, keep in mind that over the years, there's been a lot of changes to the game to make it become retail. And it wasn't just the developers decided to make the game bad. It's a bunch of changes that were seemingly good that ended up changing the game, made it less like an RPG, made it less social, made it so that it feels isolated and lonely, and that your server doesn't matter. And there's so many things. It wasn't just a flip of a switch and retail sucked, right? It was a road to retail, and that is the road we are on right now, right? And if you personally don't think things like the boost undermine the RPG element of the game, and you don't think microtransactions and pay-to-win elements, the deluxe edition has been data mined, and a bunch of, some people still are saying, oh, it's probably a mistake, or wait for it's confirmed. I mean, it says TBC collector or TBC classic deluxe edition, like as its abbreviation, TBCCDE or whatever. It's data mined from the TBC classic client. It's a TBC, creature that would be the mount. But I mean, sure, maybe by some miracle, it's not intended to be in the game. But the point is, we're going down the road to retail. I have witnessed it. I have played every expansion to some degree, less and less as they went on because I did not like them. I've seen the game like die in front of my eyes once before, and we're literally going down the road again. And it is confusing to me how there are so many people that don't see this coming, how there's so many people. I don't know if they don't know the history. I don't know if they haven't been playing the game as long as I have. I don't know if they just feel that these changes are not going to affect the game like they did previously. But that is why I care. That's why other people care. That's why people are upset about the boost. That's why they're passionate about the boost, because it's their favorite game. It's one of the best games ever made. And they're literally watching it die like it died before. And we haven't even made it to TBC. It's not even TBC Classic isn't even out yet. Right? This is the Classic reboot. And we already have boosts. And we already have store mounts slated for the game. Right? And you want to talk slippery slope, all this, who knows what's coming. I predict token. There may be more to come. I think they're going to remove the restrictions on the boost. But even if you don't think that stuff is going to come, even if you're not concerned about the precedent set by adding a feature that undermines RPG elements to a game that's, roots are based in the RPG elements, how about we just talk about the OG developers? They're the ones who made the masterpiece. Do you think they would be okay with boost? They didn't release it in original TBC, right? It wasn't until Warlords of Draenor pre-patch that it was like widely available. And I think there may have been some boost scroll or something. I saw people talking about in Cataclysm. I don't remember that, but there might have been some sort of recruit a friend boost type feature previously. But it certainly wasn't anywhere near TBC. And it would go against everything that the classic game stands for, to boost a character, to have these shop components, these pay-to-win elements. This is not classic. This is not the game that existed back when the Burning Crusade first came out. And yeah, I'm upset about it. I'm not happy about it. I think a lot of players should be upset about it too. And this is where I think it's time to bring out the go back to retail. Right, and for a quick history on what go back to retail originally meant. It was originally used by ignorant classic players who had no clue how retail worked, that thought retail was easier than classic. The only thing easier in retail than classic is basically just leveling. Everything else is more difficult. I mean, you had classic players that have no understanding of what LFR even means, degrading retail players for assuming everyone plays LFR. They don't understand that nobody does LFR because the rewards are trash. They don't understand that LFR is harder than most of the things in Classic anyway. right? So go back to retail was never really used in a way that actually made sense. But I think it's time to actually bring out the go back to retail. And the way I would use it is I'd say, okay, if you are someone that plays Classic, Classic's your favorite game, you've been waiting for TBC, you care about the game, and you're familiar with the history of World of Warcraft, how retail's gone downhill, and you prefer the Classic game to retail, and you still think the boost is okay, then okay. I'd say I would disagree with you. I would say that we should have learned the lesson that this is not a good direction to take. But you know what? I still have to respect the opinion of someone who cares about the game, respect the opinion of someone who actually does play the game, that actually is playing Classic. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And if that's the conclusion you draw, then you know what? Hey, you're entitled to that. I disagree. But at least I appreciate that when you're offering insight into the discussion, you actually do care about the game. You actually do know what has happened in the past. And you actually played Classic. But what I need to say, go back to retail to, are the people that play retail, prefer it to Classic, or players that haven't played Classic, that just feel like trying TBC, players that don't understand what makes the game great. I don't think these individuals should have opinions on how the game is released. And that may sound harsh, but the fact of the matter is this is a reboot. Okay, this is Classic. We're bringing back an old, legendary, amazing game. We should not be catering to players we don't even know are going to enjoy the game. We should not be catering the game to try and pull in new players. That's not how reboots work. That's not how recreations of old games work. The whole point is the game is so good that you release it as it was and people will play it, right? That's the whole point of a remake. That's the whole point of a reboot, is not to cater to people who don't even play the game, turn your back to all the loyal players, and change the game to accommodate people who don't even play it. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm tired of people on Reddit that seemingly don't care about the issue, that they talk about how they quit and don't play Classic, but oh yeah, they're definitely going to play TBC though, for sure. And but there needs to be the boost, or else I won't. Like, are we really going to cater the game to these people? I think it's a mistake. I don't think we should be catering to, I guess, the retail crowd, or the cater in the same way retail has over all these years, because it hasn't worked out. So if you're someone that doesn't like Classic, wants the game changed, the game shouldn't change for these players that don't want to actually play the game as it is. And we should not be catering to them. And they should, quite frankly, they should just go play retail. Go back to retail. If you want a game with boosts, if you want a game that does not stay true to its core RPG elements, then you're looking to play the wrong game. And if you respond with, well, yeah, but retail is not good, and retail has no social aspect, there's no RPG element. Well, how do you think it got there? How do you think it got there? All right, so stop messing with greatness. Stop messing with the amazing game that TBC is. And if you're not willing to play it as it comes, and you need massive sweeping changes like boost to play the game, then maybe you shouldn't be playing the TBC reboot. Go back to retail. Right. But anyway, in conclusion, guys, I just want to say, once again, these are my thoughts on the topic. Let me know what you guys think. In summary, I don't think the changes are good for new players. I think, in fact, the changes are bad for new players, because those that try and level without the boost, there's going to be even less population. Arguments that go about saying, oh, well, people are boosting already, might as well just provide that as something you can pay to do, right? I think the solution, like, others have pointed out, Mad Season talks about in his video, is to nerf the boosting, so people, the in-game player boosting, so that people go back to leveling out in the open world, and, the older zones are restored. We shouldn't go the other direction. We shouldn't identify that there's a problem where the older zones aren't as populated as they once were because everyone is dungeon boosting and no one's actually out in the world playing the game. The solution is to nerf the dungeon boosting, not to, just go a step further and just further bypass leveling, because that's going to make the game even worse for players that are trying to start leveling from level 1. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. All in all, at the end of the day, myself and I'm assuming a lot of the people that are very passionately against the boost, we just really care about the game. We really want the game to be good, and that's all there is to it. And hopefully there's some thought in reverting the change to the boost, and hopefully the game launches without boost. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.